GM, is divine intervention actually real? This is a video about Christianity, about the faith, about the Lord Jesus Christ, the Bible. I want to talk about this topic because it sounds so mystical, it sounds so unreal, it sounds so surreal. Like, what do you mean divine intervention is real? I thought that was a thing of fantasy. Because when you think about divine intervention, you think about, like, in Minecraft, where somebody smites the zombie below you from the heavens, and that zombie now turns into some zombie pigman or some shit, and you're like, oh, this must be divine intervention. Or even IRL, like, you even heard about, like, Christian testimonials about, oh, this guy had a miracle, or the fuck, oh, whatever, this and that. And you hear, like, all these crazy, like, stories, and you think that it's so made up, and you think that, oh, well, we know in statistics that there's outliers in any system. Well, those must be the outliers. And then you just shrug it off as that, because divine intervention, it doesn't sound right. It doesn't sound intuitive. Well, I mean, it kind of is intuitive, but a lot of this intuitive thinking, I would argue, in today's world is pretty much brainwashed out of you. It's pretty much taken out of you because the main religion now is science. They want you to think logically. They want you to think, because we cannot prove God's existence with math, which you can, by the way. Just look at Newton's laws. But because we cannot prove the existence of God, we've never seen him, we can't scientifically measure him, he must not exist. Like, that's what the argument that a lot of, like, scientists who don't like Christianity for some reason, and the religion is science overall, with data analysis, the scientific method and whatnot. And yeah, that's cool and all, but I want to talk about in this video about divine intervention is a very real thing. And I want to talk about this perspective from someone that is previously very agnostic, and I thought in the world in a very Darwinistic framework and a very statistical framework, because as you guys can, like, tell from these videos that I make, I am a very logical minded person. I like to give arguments and give reasons why I say that, and then give basically counter arguments to myself in real time to try to prove the logical coherence of whatever I'm trying to talk about. That is my basic gist of what I do in these videos. But I want to talk about that Christianity was something that I personally try to logic my way out of many times. I was like, oh, well, it must not be real because this. I've never seen God in person. Oh, it happened 2,000 years ago. It must have been changed so many times. And I was that type of person that basically said, oh, look at all these divine intervention moments. This must be statistical outliers. Every system has an outlier, so it must be an outlier. I look at the weirdest things that happen in my own life, like things that you would call as miracles, and I'll take them for granted. And I'll be like, oh my gosh, that's a statistical outlier. Wow, I cannot believe that happened to me. Like, I kind of just shrugged off a lot of things because for some reason I didn't want to believe that this Christianity stuff was real. I thought that it was really weird. I thought it was almost cult-like. Like, you see on Reddit, for example, like a lot of people who deny religion, because Reddit is basically like the atheist heaven, and the atheist heaven is, they're basically saying, oh, well, Christianity is a cult, and then they'll basically virtue signal on everybody, say how much better they are while they're scoffing from their computer chair and their neck beard and their fedora. But there's a lot of this basically going on in the real world, and I was of that category for the longest time. But I want to talk about in this video that the divine intervention, it's very real. And like me personally, a lot of things that happen in my own life, I have lots of stories I could tell about this whole divine intervention stuff that has happened to me in honestly my whole life. But ever since I realized and thought of the framework of life through divine intervention instead of the statistical outliers, it makes a lot of more sense. And I'm kind of just realizing a lot of things that happen in my own life where they just happen at this certain time and certain sequence and certain probabilistic framework that I just cannot say it's mathematically possible. I'm a fucking engineer. I literally do math and science for a living. And I kind of just look at these moments in my life and I'm like, there's no fucking way that this happened. But the thing is that these things happen so much that I can't just call them an outlier anymore, because it's not an outlier anymore if they happen week by week, right? This is the fucking craziest thing. And maybe you guys will see, like, of course, I don't want to go super deep into the personal details because a lot of these personal details that happen for me are deeply personal to me, and they're deeply within my own relationship with God and whatnot. I mean, I could in a different video, like another time when I'm like comfortable for it, but for me, it's a deeply personal stuff that I want to keep sacred for my own self. So I don't want to talk about like the deep secrets about them. But if I did tell you, in described in very vague terms, they are so mystical and so statistically improbable and so bizarre that you would think I'm making this shit up. But I'm not fucking making this shit up, bro. It's absolute real data. But I don't know, maybe I'll talk about it in another video when some time has passed and I've pretty much processed it more and more, because I'm still in disbelief. But basically, with this divine intervention stuff, it's very, very real. And I think a lot of people, they'll look at what I'm saying and they're like, oh, this guy's just fucking yapping. And yeah, I'm a yapper in these videos, but you're probably thinking, oh, confirmation bias. What about survivorship bias? What about these crazy moments that happen? They're actually a small percentage that happen in your life, but you give all the attention to them. Maybe it's just confirmation bias. What about all the other ones that you ignore that are also statistical outliers but weren't significant in your life? Well, yeah, you can argue that as well. But when I personally analyze it, like me personally, I'm a very observant person. I don't really, like, I live life very consciously, and I try to realize like what's happening on a day by day. And I'm a person that is very stuck into details. Maybe it's some like autistic characteristic of mine or something, but I'm a very detail oriented person. So I'm not the type of person that misses things. And basically in my own life, when I look and live second by second, a lot of things that happen, I pretty much analyze these things that happen, and this confirmation bias doesn't really apply to me personally because I'm able to judge each thing objectively. So this argument might sound weak or something, like, oh, well, that's heavily subjective to you. And that is true, right? It is subjective to me. How can I prove that what has happened in my life and my own 24 hours every day is I've given full attention to, and that every single moment of these I've given fair value to? Yes, this is a very fair argument, but I want to tell you, just like, it's kind of like, just trust me, bro, on this one. But this confirmation bias, even when considering it, I still think that it's statistically impossible. So I don't know, I kind of just want to talk about that in this video. But divine intervention is very real. And, you know, I was talking like with some Christian friends and whatnot, and they're telling me actually that God is basically the God of RNG. That's what they said, because these guys are like gamer people. And they're telling me that God is able to pretty much twist odds and probabilities towards your favor. Like, think about, like, there's like this game called Risk of Rain 2 where there's like a leaf clover item, like a 57 leaf clover. I forgot what it's actually called, but basically increases your luck stat. And this luck stat basically increases the chances of you proccing, like basically activating some item utility stuff. And basically it makes you do more damage when you expected that value. And he basically told us, or basically told me, like, having God on your side, like having deep relationship, actually makes your life luckier. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. And when I went through life and then I basically acknowledged this existence of this luck, lucky things just have started to come to me out of fucking nowhere. And I don't know, it's just very, very wonderful. Like the idea that people throw around, like the gurus that say unlucky people attract unlucky people and lucky people attract lucky people. This is a real phenomenon. This is not just, I also thought it was like, oh, just who-boo bullshit. This is like, oh, there's no way that's real. But it absolutely is real. This luck trait is an actually real thing. And it can amplified with basically God, because he is the God of RNG, right? And he's kind of just, like, I kind of look at it from the perspective of, like, there's this anime called ReZero where Subaru, the main character, Subaru, he's basically, I don't fucking remember what he's trying to do, but he's trying to, like, help out this girl named Emilia and the people, and they're trying to defeat, like, the witches of, like, the bad witches and shit. Like, that's basically what they're trying to do. But basically Subaru basically enters a covenant with this one witch called Echidna, and there's like this one route. I mean, I think in the anime that he rejected her offer and was like, oh, I don't want you to basically control me and I'm gonna have to do all these things for you. But basically there's like this one light novel spin-off thing that I read where basically Subaru actually takes her off her, and now she's basically always watching through his lens, because she's like the witch of greed. She wants to know about Subaru's existence because he's so interesting, and he basically can revive over and over again. And it's kind of like that comforting feeling, like people when they watch it, they're like, oh, imagine having this anime girl watching through your eyes and being your guardian angel, basically. Isn't that kind of wonderful? Like, people like to think about that. And I was like, oh, well, that might be nice, but I'll tell you that in this that route, I won't spoil what happens, but some things just happen, right? But basically, this idea of like the guardian angel is a very real thing for all people, in my opinion. Like, the idea like everybody has their own personal god and whatnot, and this personal god is basically twisting odds into your favor, and you don't really know that he's doing shit for you until you realize, like me personally. And once you like realize, I don't know if like, I think it actually does change like that luck stat to be increased, but you're able to appreciate more and more of like what he has done for you, and you kind of just giving an absolute awe and gratefulness and gratitude. And I don't know, it's just a very powerful emotion. Like, it's very hard for me to like, usually I'm not at a loss for words in videos, but this feeling is very difficult for me to convey in words because it's such a profound and unique feeling that I haven't had time to process and really think about yet on how I can actually communicate through this in English. Because like this feeling, it's a very, very profound one. It's a very unique one that I think like a lot of like Christian people can understand, but like people who aren't and very agnostic and live in the world of nihilism and apathy and have constantly have this looming shadow over them, they wouldn't be able to understand. But it's very, very good. I don't know how else to describe it, but yeah, that's pretty much all I'll say in this video. Divine intervention is real. And the summary of this video is that divine intervention is real, that statistical improbabilities is, you know, a lot of things that happen, like weird things that happen to you, you kind of look at them, you're like, oh, well, that must just be a statistical outlier. But maybe consider that it could be divine intervention. And this divine intervention, the miracles, they happen on a day-by-day basis. Like, people look at the Bible and they say Jesus Christ, he turned the water into the wine. That's a miracle. Oh my gosh. Well, there are miracles of that scale happening in every fucking microsecond of your own life and day. And once you like realize that, it's just a very good feeling. But yeah, I don't know, I'll make some more videos about like this whole Christianity stuff. This channel is like pretty much me talking about whatever the fuck that I like to talk about personally. But yeah, I'll see you guys.